Hello everyone and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we're taking a look at the DX Full Bottle Buster from Kamen Rider Build. This is the primary weapon that Build uses when he is in either his Rabbit Rabbit or Tank forms. Two very cool forms. I like them a lot. As you can see, it has the ability to hold up to 4 full bottles at one time, which I think is pretty neat. So this is the front of the packaging here. It is obviously very long, as the Buster itself is very long. I'm not really going to be able to show you the sides of the packaging. You can kind of see that it wraps around on the side over here and has a picture of the Buster. And on this side, it kind of has a picture of, well, it doesn't kind of, it actually does have a picture of Tank form. So, nothing too spectacular. But here is another picture of the forms here on the bottom. And you can see the Buster half on this side, half over here. Spinning this around. Pretty cool. I love these pictures here of Rabbit Rabbit and Tank. You can see Rabbit Rabbit using it as a sword, and then Tank using it as a gun. It does technically have 2 modes, but you can see it's literally just the handle falls down to make it the gun mode versus the sword mode, so it's alright. There's different sounds for the number of bottles that you put in it, and then up here you can see again you have the Rabbit Rabbit form. I don't know why it says chainsaws, drill, gear, hammer. I mean, I guess. I don't think he ever actually uses those different parts of it. He just hits people with it like it's a sword. In any case, it's a pretty neat weapon. It's definitely a huge, massive box, so I apologize it barely fits in the shot here, but very colorful, very fun in front of the package. So let's go ahead, open it up, and we'll take a closer look. Alright, so boom, here it is. This thing is pretty big, I gotta say. It's a really large roleplay weapon. It's got a lot of heft to it. You can see this is the speaker. 3 AAA batteries go in this section right here. You just unscrew this, pop them in, screw it back closed. On and off switch right here. This is the trigger. You can see it's even got a little handle. You can hold it. But yeah, it's pretty massive. I mean, it has to be long because it has to hold 4 bottles at the same time. This button here is the kind of release that you hold down to slide the bottles out. It has that little kind of tiny, you can see it right here. Let's see if I can get the light to shine in there. No, not at all? Awesome. Okay, let's get a second light. Haha! Okay, so you can see this plastic piece right there moves. And that's just a stopper so that if you put the bottles in and then a kid swings the sword around, the bottles don't come flying out like projectiles. Would not be good. Kind of a softer plastic here for the technical blade part of the sword. But a lot of nice paint. You have the silver, the gold. I really like the color scheme. You have kind of the red, gold, black, and silver thing going on here. So, I don't know. It says like this is a drill. And this does kind of look like a drill bit, I'll be honest. But I don't see how he's like using it as a drill bit. And this is supposed to be a hammer. Like, alright, I guess. Whatever. It fits pretty decently in my hand, though, I have to say. For an adult-sized hand. For a kid, I think they'll have no problem holding it. And then they can also hold this if it's too heavy for them. So I think that's pretty cool. To turn it into the gun mode, you press this down here. And then you unhook that. And that's it. Now it's the gun mode. So, that's not that great. But it's also how you put the bottles in. So I almost feel like there's no reason to ever put it into sword mode, because you'd have to put all the bottles in and then close it up. It's kind of a pain in the butt. So turning it on, there is an on and off switch here, as I pointed out earlier. Nice and loud. It says Full Bottle Buster. If you press the trigger with nothing inside, you get kind of a generic, like, multi-purpose sound. It kind of sounds like a sword clanging. It kind of sounds like a gun being fired. And that is because no matter which mode it's in, it is the same sound. So if you change to... Whoop. I accidentally hit the trigger. This is a little difficult to unhook sometimes. But if you It's the exact same sound. So it doesn't matter if it's gun mode or sword mode. You get the same generic sound, unfortunately. But like I said, it is a pretty... I like the design of the sword. I like that it's kind of like a gun blade. Kind of reminds me of like Final Fantasy VIII, something like that. And I like the heft to it. I like that it's a big role-play weapon. Fits nicely in your hand, even for an adult. And I think that's cool. I think it's a nice design, and I like that. Whoops. Like I said, it is heavy. So I like that about this thing. I like the heft to it. I like the size of it. I think that's really fun. Let's go ahead and bring in some full bottles so we can check out the sounds. So I just brought in 4 random full bottles. It doesn't really matter in the way that the sounds for the attacks are the same no matter which bottles you choose. It can read the bottles, though, which is kind of cool. It's kind of neat and useless all at the same time. It's kind of weird. Like, you could put in any 4 random bottles. It doesn't matter if they're a best match or not. If you put in 1 bottle, it's going to be this attack. If you put in 2 bottles, it's always going to be this attack, and so on and so forth. So it will absolutely say the name of the bottle, but then the rest of the sounds are the same. So it's kind of like, why have the reader if it doesn't matter? But they wanted to put the reader in. I don't know. I feel like it's a little bit of wasted potential just because if you put the reader in, you could do something with it, but instead you really didn't. So anyway, we're just going to jam one in here. If you press the trigger now, so you get full bottle break for 1 bottle. Now this is kind of the annoying part. You have to click it all the way through and then press this to get it out each time, because you can't just keep adding. When you pull the trigger, it resets how many it's read. So when you put one in and then you leave it in and put a second one in, it's just going to do full bottle break again because it thinks you only put 1 in. So you have to load them all in and then hit the trigger to get it to count. So let's go again. So it says just match des. So it says just match break. It doesn't matter if these 2 bottles are a best match or not. In this case, they just happen to be. It's going to say just match des every time, and then it says just match break with 2 bottles. Now there's a light here and there's a light here, so these bottle positions do not light up. So it's just these 2. But like I said, you have to push these all the way through. So just to illustrate my point, I'm going to go ahead and put in 2 that are not a best match. So it still says just match des. Now again, if you would press the trigger, you'd get the same sounds as last time, but we're going to put a 3rd one in. So now with 3 bottles, it says Miracle Match des. And like I said, you can see these 2 spots now light up. So now if we press the trigger, so you get Miracle Match break. All of them are whatever it says. There's 3 kinds of different, well, there's full bottle break, just match break, Miracle Match break. Now we're going to go to Ultimate Match break. But they're all break. All the attack sounds are whatever break, whatever level you're at. So once again, we have to push these all the way down. Alright. And now we will do all 4 bottles. So now we get ultimate match des. And you can see just those two spots light up. So, ultimate match break. And then once again, you just push these all the way down. And it makes no difference if you like keep it in gun mode the whole time or change it to sword mode just to show. So I hit the trigger as I was closing it. But as you can hear, the sound is exactly the same whether it's open or closed. So sword mode. I keep hitting the trigger while I'm trying to open this. It's kind of awkward to have it here. I wish it was in the front. I really do feel like in the front would have made more sense. But so be it. So it makes the normal trigger sound effect. The bottle breaks. None of it matters whether it's sword mode or gun mode. So we'll take all these full bottles and put them off to the side and bring in our best friend, the Fudu Fudu bottle. So I'm going to take this out and attempt to not have it go crazy. You're going to want to put it in with these pieces pointing down, so gold end first. Steady. All right. Why did it not? Oh, I forgot to turn this back on. Haha, that's why. Oh, goodness. All right, now I'm going to be honest with you. When you put this in here... All right, back you go. Back you go. So when you put this in here, it does not make any noises as far as this itself does not contribute any new noises. The Buster makes noises. It reads the full bottle, but... So I'm going to put this in most of the way. Let's turn this back on. Okay, now I will pull this out. What is it still not? What are you doing to me here? Ah. Alright, this thing is driving me crazy. Alright, so there you go. We got the Foo match des. Now that this thing stopped making noise. So there you go. There's the sound effect we get for putting this thing in here. It hardly seems worth it. But you get the Foo match, and then you get Foo break. So there you go. Those are the 5 different like match/break sounds you can get with this thing. Push this all the way back through. Quiet you. I'm done. All right, put this off to the side. So there you go. That's what you get. Oh, everything with sounds is so exhausting today. But I do think it's fun. I like it. It doesn't do a heck of a lot, and I kind of feel like it's really cool that it can read all the different bottles. But why doesn't it do anything with that? Like, it says their name when you slide them in, but it's still going to say one of the 4 break combinations. So why have the reader? I don't know. It just seems like wasted opportunity. Like, you took the time and the money to put the reader in here. You could have done more with it. Like, if it was actually a best match, have a different sound for that. If it's 2 random bottles, make that the just match des. If it's a best match of 2 bottles, make that a new sound. If you have 4 bottles that are 2 best matches, have that be an additional new sound. There was potential here that was wasted. And I like that the reader is in there, but it seems weird to me that they didn't actually do anything with it. It just exists for fun, nothing new. So at the end of the day, I think this thing is fun, but do I think it's a must have? No, I don't. It doesn't come with any full bottles, so there's no like incentive there, like, oh, they packed in an exclusive bottle, so that's a reason to buy it. It doesn't have anything like that. It's literally just the Buster by itself. And there is fun to be had, and I definitely love the design of it. I think the color scheme is really cool. I like the design. I like the handle up here. I like that the handle's big enough that it fits my hand nice. I like the look of putting 4 bottles in here, and I like the fact that it lights up. I wish all 4 bottles had the ability to light up while they're in there. I understand it's obviously some kind of capacity issue or something like that, that, you know, maybe they couldn't put the LEDs that many. I don't know. There's got to be some reason for it. Or it could be a cost-cutting measure, whatever the reason. I wish all 4 bottles lit up when they were in there. I really enjoy the fact that it reads them. I think that's really cool. When you put them in, it knows the name of each of them. I just don't understand why they didn't do more with it. I mean, like I said, if it was there could be additional sounds, whether it was a best match or 2 random bottles, but instead they just count the number of bottles, and I feel like you could have just had a button that it just knows how many times it's been pressed down. I guess they needed a special reader so that it would know when this thing was inserted, but I mean, you could have. I don't know. I just don't know. I feel like you took the trouble to put the reader in here, and I like that you did, but I feel like you could have done more with it. There was a couple things you could have probably easily put into this with just a little bit more programming, however it works, to get a little bit more playability out of it. So at the end of the day, I think it's fun, but it's certainly not something that everyone needs to rush out and get. If you could find it later on sale, I think it's worth it. Like, there's definitely some fun to be had with this thing. I just don't think it's crucial. And if you're on a budget, this is definitely something I think you could pass on. I think it would be more fun to collect all the different bottles because that's kind of new and exciting sounds out of the build driver and things like that. It's a cool roleplay weapon, but it's certainly not a necessity for every build collector, in my opinion. But hey, you guys let me know what you think in the comments below. I'd like to hear from you. Please like and share the video, and please subscribe. I hope you guys have enjoyed this look at the DX Full Bottle Buster from Kamen Rider Build. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching.